issue. I'm struggling with dependency injection. Do you know what is dependency injection? Yes, I know what is dependency injection. So let me explain to you in simple terms. So let's say we have two classes. We have the car class and we have the engine classes. So in object-oriented programming, some classes depend on other classes. So let's say, for instance, the car class totally depends on the engine class. For the car to move, the engine must have started. So the car class depends on the engine class. So there are two ways of implementing this. So the first one is we instantiate the engine class inside the car class. You understand? Instantiate the engine class inside the car class. But there is a problem with this method. We might have the same car model, right? But with two different types of engine. We might have the other type with an electric engine and then the other one with a diesel engine. So if we have instantiated the engine class inside the car class, that becomes difficult for us to implement different engines in the same class. Do you understand now? Do you understand now? Do you understand what I'm talking about now? Dependency injection. So what we would now do is, instead of instantiating that engine class inside the car class, we now provide the engine class as a parameter to the car class. So what this does now, it will now allow us to have the same car model, but with two different types of engines. So you might find the same Benz model with two different types of engines. The other one might be an electric car, the other one might be a diesel car. So that's what we have done now is we have now injected the engine class inside the car class. That's what we call dependency injection. Not yet. I still don't get it really. What is dependency injection? It's not yet ringing in my mind. Don't worry. So now let's take a look at the code. I think if I show you the code, right, you'll now understand what dependency injection is.
So if we take a look at this code example, I say that the car totally depends on the engine class. We have this engine class, which has a function start, which starts the car, right? So the car class is totally dependent on the engine class. But as we can see, we have instantiated this variable, right? We have instantiated this engine class inside the car class, right? And then if we go to the main function, we create this instantiation of car, and then we start our car, right? So if I run this code, as you can see, our car has started now. But what if we have the same car, but with the same car, but we want to have different implementations of the engine? We want the same model to be, another one to be a diesel engine car, and then another one to be an electric engine car. With this implementation, it's very difficult for us to have two cars, to have the same car with different types of engines, right? So to solve this, what we'll do is we would now inject the engine class. We would now inject the engine class as a parameter to the car class, as you can see, like this. So now if I come to this to our main.kt class, what we will now do is, if I say a value of diesel engine is equal to engine. So that's our first engine implementation. As you can see, we now have a diesel engine. We now have a car with a diesel engine. But what if also in the same with the same car, we want another car with, we want on the same car, we want a different implementation of the engine. We want an electric engine. Want an electric engine. What would we do? What would we do? Would simply change this into an electric engine. As you can see, now we can now implement electric engine or a diesel engine. So that means that now we will now have the same car, same model, but with the two different types of engine implementation. We now have another model. We now have an electric car and then a diesel car, but on the same car model. So that's what dependence injection is.
I now understand what dependency injection is. So it's like Samsung. I've seen their Samsung phones with same Samsung model phone with two different types of processors. We have an Exynos processor and then we have a Qualcomm processor. So what you were saying is that when we provide, let's say we have a phone class, and then we provide the processor class we inject the processor class as a parameter to the phone class, it becomes easier for Samsung now to implement the Qualcomm processor for the same phone and the Exynos processor for the same phone. I now understand, and I now get dependency injection.